He was once God's most devout believer, yet willingly surrendered his soul to the devil, cursed into an immortal creature of darkness. That was Dracula, the world's first vampire. I've heard he not only possessed 3 stunning bat brides, but also built a vast dark empire. Yet despite centuries of breeding, they could never produce offspring that survived. To unlock the secrets of the Stone of Life, Dracula funded a scientist named Victor. Driven to madness, the man stole 7 corpses from the graveyard, and, under the baptism of lightning, pieced together what he called new life. When Victor's creation opened its eyes, his experiment succeeded, but villagers, torches blazing, stormed his castle in fury, vowing to tear it down. Just then, Dracula arrived in person, revealing his true purpose: to use the Frankenstein monster to resurrect his own offspring. Victor refused to comply, drawing his sword to stop him. Yet before Dracula's fangs, all resistance proved futile. Victor's agonized scream as he felt triggered the newly awakened monster's fury. It tore free, clutching its father's corpse and fleeing into the mill. The villagers' torches swiftly ignited the wooden structure, trapping the creature within the inferno. A final heart-wrenching wail echoed through the flames. By the time Dracula arrived with his brides, it was already too late. Years later, such monsters still roamed the world. The most brutal was the dual personality shapeshifter Hyde at nightfall. He transformed into a colossal giant, pillaging and burning cities. Thus, the Holy Spirit Knight sent me to apprehend him. Hyde and I clashed fiercely atop a rooftop beside the church. He swung an iron bell, attempting to trap me, but I had already concealed myself overhead. With a single sword strike, I severed his arm. The enraged giant hurled me against the tower, then forced me to plunge downward. In that critical moment, I hooked a steel cable around him, using his own body to save myself. Yet he was no match for me when the holy light shone upon him. His evil persona was forcibly expelled. He plummeted to the ground, reverting to human form, crashing into a mangled heap of flesh and blood. Hyde was dead, yet I felt no satisfaction, for I still knew not who I truly was. Years ago, I had collapsed unconscious at the church door, losing all memory. The priest told me it was God's will, and trained me to become a demon hunter. Yet for centuries, my search for my origins yielded nothing. Until that day when the cardinal produced a tattered scroll. The crest depicted upon it matched the ring on my finger exactly. It was the seal of an ancient Roman family. 400 years ago, they swore an oath. If they failed to destroy Dracula, their souls would be barred from heaven for eternity. 9 generations fought valiantly, their bloodline nearly extinguished. Now only Princess Anna remains. Her brother, sacrificing himself to protect her, had long since fallen from a cliff and vanished. I was tasked with protecting Anna while seeking answers to my own origins. Armed with garlic, holy water, and every weapon to counter vampires, my assistant and I trekked thousands of miles to reach the small town. Yet strangely, the locals greeted us with hostility, and Princess Anna herself demanded I surrender my weapons. Just as tensions reached a breaking point, 3 piercing screeches rent the sky. Dracula's 3 brides had finally revealed themselves. Except for being pierced through the heart by a silver stake dipped in holy water, these vampire brides were nearly impervious to blades and bullets. Even when my crossbow bolts left wounds on their bodies, they healed in an instant, revealing skin as delicate as porcelain. Yes, they were Dracula's 3 brides, the rulers of the night. Each month, they descended upon the town to select their food. This time, however, an uninvited guest joined their ranks. Me, they clearly hadn't anticipated a demon hunter appearing here. Caught off guard, the brides retreated temporarily, circling overhead. But soon, they shifted from defense to offense. Seizing my distraction, they dove down and snatched Princess Anna. In the critical moment, I leapt into the air and managed to rescue her mid-flight. This made me a thorn in their side. The 3 brides immediately split up, attempting to flank me from different directions. I hurriedly changed magazines and fired crossbow bolts at the monsters in the sky. Anna dodged under my cover, and enraged, they grabbed innocent villagers to vent their fury. Just then, the dark clouds parted and sunlight poured down. I thought the light would dispel them, but in an instant, the sky darkened again. One bride burst from the well opening and snatched Anna away. Fearing friendly fire, I hesitated to draw my bow. Anna fought desperately, drawing her dagger to slash at the enemy's ankle. Yet the 3 brides moved with perfect coordination, trapping her completely. My heart clenched. I immediately fired my crossbow, piercing the monster's ankle and allowing Anna to narrowly escape. Just as I thought I could end the fight with my repeating crossbow, another bride launched a surprise attack, knocking my weapon from my hands. Watching them return to normal before my eyes, I finally realized physical attacks were utterly useless against them. Fortunately, my assistant reminded me holy water might work. He tossed me the bottle, but the bride was too fast, snatching it and hurling it into the well. Left with no choice choice, I fixed my gaze on the holy water near the church entrance. The bride saw through my intent and lunged at me, her immense brute strength nearly crushing me. But she failed to notice she'd pushed me right toward the holy water. With all my strength, I grabbed the holy water nail gun and instantly drove a silver nail into her heart. With a piercing shriek, she turned to bone, nailed to the wall. The other two brides, sensing their companion's demise, instantly transformed into bats and fled. Yet the villagers showed no gratitude. Instead, they accused me of slaying the vampire brides, claiming Dracula would surely seek vengeance. They raised their pitchforks, intent on eliminating both Anna and me. In desperation, Anna blurted out my name. Upon hearing I was Van Helsing, the villagers fell silent, overcome with fear. But I knew the news of this battle would soon reach Dracula's ears. Sure enough, he had already dispatched his werewolf minions, now in the throes of transformation, to scout the area. That night, Anna suddenly awoke with a start. She lit a lantern to investigate, but nearly fell victim to a werewolf ambush. What shocked her even more was the figure before her, her own brother. He had survived the previous battle, but had been bitten by a werewolf. As the full moon approached, he could no longer control himself. In agony, he transformed into a werewolf, losing all humanity. I tracked the trail and arrived just in time, but Anna stopped me. Through tear-filled eyes, she told me Dracula might hold the antidote. If we could find a way to defeat him, my brother might still have a chance. I couldn't bring myself to refuse, so I joined her in pursuing the werewolf's trail. The trail led us to Frankenstein's ancient castle. Pushing open the door, I was stunned by the sight before me. Countless vampire fetuses hung in rows from apparatus, Dracula preparing some mad experiment. Soon the werewolf was strapped to an operating table. Lightning cracked across the vaulted ceiling, electricity surging through the entire lair. In the next instant, the once frozen embryos began to writhe and break free from their shells. Thousands of young creatures awoke, baring their fangs, thirsting for blood. Dracula's werewolf minion, unable to sustain his beastly form, gradually lost strength amidst his howls. Seizing this opportunity, a pack of goblins pinned him down on the operating table, intending to use him as a human battery to infuse life into the unborn vampire fetus. At Dracula's command, a mad scientist activated the device, sending the werewolf to the rooftop. Harnessing the explosive power of lightning, it continuously channeled his energy into the subterranean lair. I witnessed thousands of vampire pups bursting from their shells under the baptism of electricity, howling with hunger. Dracula then hurled his two brides off the cliff, commanding them to lead the untouched young ones down the mountain to hunt. I secretly infiltrated that sinister castle, witnessing countless vampires shattering glass and swarming toward the human town like a dark cloud. Without hesitation, I grabbed my hunting rifle to try and stop them. But how could I alone withstand this vast, bloodthirsty horde? Sure enough, the townspeople soon screamed in terror as countless vampire bats swarmed from the mountains, biting anyone in sight without mercy. The streets echoed with endless wails, as if the apocalypse had arrived. To train their young in hunting, the vampire bride seized a villager, hurled him into the air, and flung him far away for the bloodthirsty children to devour. I knew full well that to save the townspeople, I must slay the original vampire Dracula. Acting decisively, I struck when he was off guard, plunging my silver-tipped blade into his heart. Yet all logic shattered in that instant. Dracula effortlessly pulled the blade free, his expression serene. He even addressed me affectionately as Gabriel. He spoke as if reuniting with a long-lost friend, claiming I had forgotten our past. The scenes he described were precisely the visions that had jolted me awake in nightmares. Before I could press further, a wail of agony pierced the air from above. Princess Anna. In her desperate attempt to save her brother, she had freed him from his bonds. Yet beneath the moonlight, her brother was rapidly losing himself, his inner beast growing frenzied. He was on the verge of transforming into a werewolf, destined to become the vampire's puppet. Fearing for Anna's safety, I hastily brandished the cross at Dracula, attempting to suppress his dark power. But it proved futile, only enraging him further. Just as he prepared to tear me apart, the cubs suddenly let out a chorus of wails. Then, as if drained of life, they exploded one after another. It turned out the werewolf's energy could not sustain these monstrous creatures for long. The brides wailed in grief and flew away. Dracula's distraction gave me the chance to activate the holy sword, sever the elevator cables, and scramble toward the rooftop. I fired a grappling hook onto the cliff face, rescuing Anna just as the werewolf broke free from its chains. Together we escaped to safety enraged. Dracula ordered the werewolf to hunt me down. In the pouring night rain, Anna and I argued over how to kill Dracula amidst the ruins below the mountain. Unwittingly, we stumbled into the mill burned down by villagers. This was where Frankenstein's monster met his end, embracing his father's corpse as he plunged into the flames and vanished. Fate played a cruel joke. The suddenly collapsing floor revealed an underground chamber piled high with countless human bones. I warned Anna to be cautious, but I myself was flung hundreds of meters by Frankenstein, who appeared suddenly. All these years he had hidden in the shadows like a rat, despised by humanity for his hideous visage, yet I saw kindness in his eyes and spared his life. Instead, he begged me to end his suffering swiftly. He warned that if Dracula uncovered the secret of the Life Stone, millions of vampire spawn would be reborn, bringing utter destruction upon humanity. Anna's heart trembled at this, and she raised her sword to strike. I immediately stopped her, telling her that though I'd hunted countless demons, I'd never wrongly killed the innocent. And this monster before us, despite his hideous appearance, possessed a kind heart. As we argued, movement stirred in the shadows. Dracula's werewolf minions had discovered our location. To prevent the Frankenstein monster from falling into their clutches, I resolved to escort him to the Vatican Cathedral before deciding our next course of action. We rode day and night, galloping at full speed, yet we could not escape the winged pursuit above. Finally, Dracula's vampire bride swooped down and snatched me away. The vampire bride's terrifying fertility allows them to bear tens of thousands of offspring for Dracula. After centuries of breeding, the lair now hangs heavy with stillborns sufficient to destroy the world. Yet to break these shells and resurrect the dead, Dracula must find a power surpassing God's own hand, the Stone of Life. This energy lies hidden within the body of Frankenstein's monster, stitched together from 7 corpses. Knowing this matter concerns the safety of all humanity, I dared not delay. I spurred my horse day and night, vowing to deliver Frankenstein to the Vatican. Yet even as we crossed snow-capped mountains and covered 1,000 miles in a single day, we could not shake the shadow of the vampire bride. She attacked suddenly, catching me off guard. I could only cling desperately to her wing, disrupting her flight. Forced to release her grip, she soared skyward, while I nearly tumbled off my horse as a broken bridge loomed ahead. Frantically, I leaped on the horse's back, trying to turn us around. The vampire bride gave me no respite, her claws snapping out to hurl me away. Fortunately, my steed leapt, carrying me back onto the bridge. In that moment, the bride believed Frankenstein had fallen into the abyss with the carriage. She plunged recklessly after it, desperate to retrieve the stone of creation. But when she ripped open the carriage, it was empty. This had been my plan. Anna distracted Frankenstein while I filled the carriage with silver stakes dipped in holy water. By the time she realized something was wrong, it was too late. The explosives detonated, scattering the stakes. Instantly riddled with holes, she plummeted into the inferno. I hurried to reunite with Anna, but before I could breathe a sigh of relief, the werewolf minions suddenly appeared, setting the carriage roof ablaze. In the critical moment, Frankenstein reached out to save me, allowing me to narrowly escape. Yet the werewolves, undeterred by the flames, were determined to claim him. I had no choice but to order everyone to jump from the carriage, then fired my gun without hesitation. Though I freed Anna's brother, I was bitten during the struggle and infected with the wolf's venom. On the night of the full moon, I would lose my sanity and become Dracula's puppet. Unable to accept this, Anna instinctively stepped back, only to be ambushed and abducted by the surviving vampire bride. She used this to blackmail me into handing over Frankenstein. I feigned agreement, arranging a public exchange of hostages the following night to prevent Dracula from abruptly breaking the deal before departing. I used a hypnotic dart to conceal Frankenstein within a coffin in the graveyard. Yet just as I left, a pair of ghastly white hands lifted the coffin lid. The next day, I arrived at the designated meeting place, only to find Anna already bewitched by Dracula, nearly consenting to become his bride. Just as he bared his fangs to grant her immortality, my assistant intervened, driving him back with flames. I seized the moment to awaken Anna. Yet in full view of the crowd, I never expected Dracula to act so rashly. He snatched the Frankenstein monster right then and there. As the ballroom guests simultaneously revealed their fangs, I realized in horror they were all vampires. Knowing I couldn't defeat them, I fled through a broken window with Anna, throwing flash grenades to obliterate our pursuers. To locate their lair, we pored over ancient texts. Finally, we uncovered Dracula's secret. He was the eldest son of Anna's ancestor. That ancestor had died by the hand of God during the Crusades, only to be resurrected by selling his soul. Thereafter, the entire family swore an oath if no descendant could slay Dracula, none would ever ascend to heaven. For centuries, generation after generation failed, leaving only Anna to struggle on, guided by our ancestors. I found the hidden door that had defied opening. Gazing at the fragmentary corner of the map, I recalled the scroll gifted by the Cardinal. Indeed, everything had been predestined. As the map dissolved, the millennia-sealed door revealed itself. I reached into the mirror, felt warmth on the other side, and immediately thrust my torch through. Before me lay the legendary Dracula's castle. The towering gates made my assistants hesitate, so I summoned the power of wolf poison, propelling us across the abyss to reach the entrance. With With the full moon approaching, I could barely contain the beast within. The Frankenstein monster, moved by my daring venture, urged me to abandon him and seek the antidote first. I questioned why Dracula would leave an antidote behind. My assistant reminded me only a werewolf could defeat a vampire. Thus, we split our forces. Anna and my assistant sought the antidote, while I charged straight for the Frankenstein monster. Alas, we were too late. Lightning surged into the lair once more. And the stillborns were about to be reborn. With the next thunderclap, a million bloodthirsty young would gain eternal life, and Dracula would never allow me to disrupt this. An ordinary vampire pierced through the heart with silver would swiftly lose its self-healing ability amidst wails and dissolve into a pool of sludge. Alas, for Count Dracula, such damage was insignificant. Even with a cross in my hand, I could not instill the slightest fear in him. Until the midnight chimes struck, the wolf poison within me began to fully awaken. In agony, I tore off my human skin, letting my bones and flesh contort. Before Dracula's stunned gaze, I transformed into a powerful wolf. In that instant, I saw wavering in his eyes. He finally understood that the prophesied enemy had arrived. Dracula wasted no time, instantly morphing into a bat to engage me in a life or death struggle. I hadn't anticipated his explosive power, so overwhelming that I struggled to defend. Taking a full barrage of blows, seizing the momentum, he pressed his attack, desperate to finish me swiftly. But the wolf poison granted me equally astonishing regenerative abilities, allowing me to rise again and again. If this dragged on, his plan to resurrect a million cubs might fail. Just as he hesitated, preparing to take flight, I leapt forward, dragging him back into the fray. Meanwhile, Anna and my little assistant were desperately searching the castle for an antidote to restore my human form after slaying Dracula. Yet danger struck unexpectedly. The vampire bride lurking in the shadows pounced, cornering them in a desperate situation. I heard Anna desperately overturn the sulfuric acid, burning the bride's face and buying my assistant a chance. She instructed the assistant to bring the antidote to me, but she herself was held fast. The torch flickered in her grasp, yet the bride showed no fear. Instead, she extinguished the room's light and silently closed in, relying on her night vision. Anna was nearly overcome by despair when a bolt of lightning struck. Frankenstein tumbled from the rooftop, grabbed a wire, swung into the fray, and kicked the bride violently away. Frankenstein held off the enemy for Anna, allowing her to escort the assistant to deliver the antidote to me. But danger struck again. The vampire bride broke free, knocking Anna into the abyss. Only by clinging desperately to the stone bridge did she barely survive.
Anna, my love, it is your blood that shall keep me beautiful. What do you think of that?
I think if you're going to kill someone, kill them. Don't stand there talking about it.
Finally, the bride was struck through the heart by the silver dagger hurled by the little assistant. Howling in agony as she dissolved into sludge, witnessing his companion's death, the lonely Dracula finally snapped, attempting to flee. How could I let him escape? Harnessing the explosive power of wolf poison, I pursued relentlessly until an electric shock struck him, nearly crippling his combat ability cornered. He revealed my true origins. I was the incarnation of Archangel Gabriel, the Hand of God. Centuries ago, we fought side by side, yet his wife perished in the war, breeding his hatred for God. He rebelled against the church, only to fall beneath my blade, stripped of his knightly honor. In despair, he sold his soul, becoming an immortal monster. As for me, failing to finish him off, God erased my memories and cast me before a church door. From then on, I hunted darkness under the name Van Helsing. Dracula tried to stir my pity, tempting me to join him against God. But how could I fall, empowered by the full moon? I unleashed my full fury and slew him with my own hands. As the original Dracula turned to ash, millions of his spawn, deprived of their energy source, detonated in self-destruction. Anna rushed in, intending to inject me with the wolfsbane antidote, but I, having lost my sanity, hurled her aside. My assistant, with no other choice, prepared to kill me as per our pact. Yet in the struggle, she discovered Anna had used her last ounce of strength to inject the antidote into my veins. When my senses returned, I found Anna lying dead in my arms. A wail erupted from my chest as I slowly regained human form. Kneeling in the sunset, I raised my torch in prayer to God, begging him to welcome Anna's soul. In that very moment, the Way family found redemption through my victory, their spirits ascending to heaven. The Frankenstein creature, meanwhile, set off in a small boat toward a new life's journey. As for me, Van Helsing, Hand of God, the Exorcist mission remains unfinished. Even alone, I shall bring light to the world.